You're watching USA News Hub, your home for breaking headlines, trending sports stories, and exclusive updates from across the nation. For nearly 2 decades, Novak Djokovic, Rafael Nadal, and Roger Federer built the greatest rivalry in tennis history. But now, Federer says Djokovic still doesn't understand what that rivalry truly meant. And what Federer revealed has shaken the tennis world, exposing a deeper, more emotional layer to the Big Three story that fans never heard before. In a stunning revelation that has ignited global debate among tennis fans, Roger Federer has opened up about the emotional reality of the Big Three rivalry, and suggested that neither Novak Djokovic nor Rafael Nadal fully understands the deeper bond they all created. It's rare for Federer to speak so directly about Djokovic and Nadal, especially since his retirement in 2022. For the past 3 years, the Swiss legend has stepped quietly into the background, making short appearances at Laver Cup events, charity functions, and his luxury brand commitments. But now, after gaining emotional distance from the sport, he's seeing the Big Three era with new eyes. And his perspective has shocked the tennis world. Federer says Djokovic doesn't understand the bond, yet. In an interview with Teja Zanziger, Federer spoke candidly about the life-changing rivalry he shared with Nadal and Djokovic, a rivalry that spanned nearly 20 years, redefined the modern game, and won the respect of fans around the world. Federer's words were calm, but surprisingly pointed. He said, "Rivalries like that create a huge bond." And then came the statement no one expected: Novak doesn't know what that's like yet. Rafa is slowly getting there. Federer explained that this bond, the emotional, spiritual connection that comes from competing at the highest level for decades, can only be understood after you walk away from the court. While Nadal is approaching the end of his career, Djokovic is still very much in the fight, competing for majors, chasing records, refusing to slow down. Federer said, "When you're still playing, you can't think about it the way I do today." In other words, Djokovic is still inside the battle. Federer is finally able to see it from above. You stop seeing yourself as one player and see the big picture. Federer's reflection went even deeper. He said that once enough time passes, a retired player begins to recognize the historical significance of everything: the wins, the losses, the rivalries, the emotions, the controversies. He put it perfectly. The more time passes, the less you identify yourself as an individual player and the more you see the big picture. Federer hinted that once Djokovic retires, and once Nadal moves further away from competition, they too will finally understand the bond that was formed through their battles. Federer even added, in a moment of humility, "Someone might have taken something personally, and you can't even remember it anymore." It shows how small disagreements, tense moments, or competitive emotion fade with time, while respect remains. The invitation that shocked fans. Federer ended the interview with a surprising offer: "I'm definitely up for sitting down together and talking about the good old days." Imagine that. Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic, the three kings of tennis, all sitting together recounting their matches, their emotions, and their journey. Would be one of the greatest interviews in sports history. Djokovic responds with honesty. While Federer has stepped into retirement gracefully, Novak Djokovic is still one of the most dominant forces in world tennis. In 2025 alone, Djokovic made the semi-final of all 4 Grand Slams and ended the year ranked inside the top 5. At age 38, he remains a threat every time he steps on court. During a 2025 Wimbledon press conference, Djokovic spoke with unusual vulnerability about his place in tennis history. He admitted, "I don't reflect fully on everything I have been through." And Federer says that's exactly why Djokovic doesn't yet understand the Big Three bond. He's still living inside the story, not looking back on it. White medium star: the Big Three, a rivalry that changed sports forever. Regardless of whether Djokovic fully recognizes it yet, the bond between the Big Three is undeniable. For nearly 2 decades, they pushed each other to new records. They elevated the sport globally. They created some of the greatest matches ever played. And they redefined what longevity and excellence could look like. When Federer speaks about a shared bond, he's talking about the matches that lasted 5 hours, the finals that defined entire seasons, the years spent chasing each other in rankings, the pressure only they understood, the emotional investment that comes with greatness. No one else, not fans, not coaches, not reporters, can understand that bond except the men who lived it. White medium star: why Federer's words hit so hard. Federer is widely known as the most diplomatic athlete in tennis. He rarely comments on controversy. He chooses his words carefully, so when he openly says, Djokovic doesn't understand the bond, Nadal is just starting to, And he himself only realized it after retirement. People took notice. His comments weren't disrespectful. They weren't confrontational. They were simply honest. And honesty from Federer always carries weight. White medium star Djokovic's unique place in the Big Three. Some fans believe Federer was hinting at something deeper. For years, Djokovic was the outsider in the Big Three dynamic. Federer and Nadal shared a more emotional connection, a genuine friendship built over early battles. Djokovic entered later, breaking their dominance and often challenging their popularity. And yet, Djokovic became the winningest of them all. The most complete. The most relentless. But perhaps Federer is right. Maybe Djokovic hasn't yet paused to emotionally process what all of this meant, because he's still chasing history. White medium star Federer's reflection changes everything. With Federer's comments, fans are left asking, what will Djokovic say once he retires? Will he look back with emotion, like Federer? Will he feel the same bond Federer and Nadal already share? Will the Big Three ever sit down together for one final reflection? One thing is clear. The Big Three story isn't over. It's simply moving into its next chapter. And Federer just opened the door to a new conversation about love, legacy, rivalry, and respect. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a story that's shaping America and the world. We'll see you in the next update.